My name is Leah Bennett, and I was 32 the night. My brother announced his 5th baby like he had won a championship. My parents jumped up from the dinner table. My mother cried. My father clapped my brother on the back and said, "That's my boy. 5 kids. Now that's a legacy." Everyone laughed. Everyone hugged. Everyone looked at my brother and his wife, like bringing another baby into a house they could barely afford was proof of courage instead of proof that nobody had ever made them plan. I stood near the kitchen island holding a glass of water, already feeling the trap forming around me, because in my family, every joyful announcement eventually became my unpaid responsibility. Then my mother turned toward me with the soft smile she used when she had already made a decision about my life. "Leah," she said, "you'll need to help with the kids. Not can you? Not would you be willing? Not let's talk about what you're comfortable doing. Just a command." My brother Grant grinned like it was already settled. His wife, Paige, rubbed her stomach and said, "Honestly, it'll be good practice for you. You don't have a family yet." Yet as if my life was a waiting room until someone handed me children that were not mine, I set my glass down carefully. "No," I said. The room went silent. My mother blinked as if the word had come from the ceiling. Grant laughed once. "Come on. Don't start." "I'm not starting anything," I said. "I'm saying no." My father's face hardened. "Your brother is expanding his family. This is when people show up." I looked around that room at my brother's 4 children, who were running between adults with cupcake frosting on their hands, unaware that their names were being quietly written into other people's calendars. "I love the kids," I said. "I'm not becoming their second parent." Paige's smile disappeared. "Second parent?" she said. "That's dramatic." My mother stepped closer. Nobody said forever. Grant looked at Paige, then back at me. "Just until the baby comes, and maybe after while Paige recovers. After that, school pickup," my mother added. "Homework, some weekends, maybe a few nights a week, you work remotely. It makes sense. It makes sense." That was the phrase my family used whenever they meant, "We already chose you." I picked up my purse. Paige folded her arms. "You know what your problem is?" she said. "You think having freedom makes you better than us. But freedom without family is just empty space." I looked at her. "No," I said quietly. "Freedom is the reason I can leave." And I did. I walked out before my mother could cry, before my father could order me to apologize, before Grant could call me bitter, before Paige could use her pregnancy like a shield for another insult. The next morning, while I was making coffee and telling myself they would cool down, my phone rang from a number I did not recognize. "Is this Leah Bennett?" a man asked. "Yes, this is Officer Mateo Reyes with the Fairview Police Department. We're at the front desk of your condo building. There are 4 children here with overnight bags. They say their parents told them you agreed to take care of them." I stopped breathing. Through the phone, I could hear a child crying in the background. Officer Reyes continued, "There's also a typed caregiver authorization form in one of the bags. It has your name on it." My hand tightened around the mug. "What children?" But I already knew. My brother's children, 9-year-old Nora, 7-year-old Caleb, 5-year-old twins, Milo and May, all 4 of them, at my condo building, with bags, and a form I had never signed. Before I tell you what was on that form, and why the lobby camera became the one thing my family could not explain away, you need to understand that this was not the first time they treated my life like extra space. I was the dependable daughter. That sounds nice when people say it at holidays. It is not nice. Dependable meant available. Dependable meant childless. Dependable meant my plans were optional if my brother's house got loud. Grant was 2 years older than me and had been celebrated for almost everything he did. When he got average grades, my parents called him well-rounded. When I got straight A's, my mother told me not to make him feel bad. When he quit community college after 1 semester, my father said school was not for everyone. When I graduated with a degree in accounting, my brother joked that I was the family calculator. I became useful early. At 12, I was packing Grant's lunch because he forgot. At 16, I was helping my mother balance bills because she hated numbers. At 22, I was the one driving my father to appointments because Grant had work. At 26, when Grant and Paige had their first child, I became the emergency babysitter before anyone asked me if I wanted the job. Nora had colic, so I spent entire Saturdays walking her around my apartment while Paige slept, and Grant watched football because new dads get overwhelmed too. When Caleb was born, my mother told relatives I had volunteered to help with meals. I had not volunteered, but by the time everyone started thanking me for being such a wonderful aunt, saying no felt like taking food out of a tired mother's hands. When the twins came, everything got worse. Grant's house became a constant emergency. Someone had a fever. Someone missed daycare. Someone needed pickup. Someone's had a parent-teacher meeting. Someone had a birthday party, and Paige forgot cupcakes. Someone needed to stay home because the twins had hand, foot, and mouth disease, and somehow the person with no children was expected to use her sick days. I loved those kids. That was the point. My family discovered that my love had handles. They could pick it up and use it to carry their guilt. Every time I said no, my mother said, "But they adore you." Every time I hesitated, Paige said, "I wish I had your quiet life." Every time I tried to make plans, Grant said, "Must be nice to only think about yourself." That was the sentence that worked for years. Just be nice. Just be nice to have savings. Must be nice to sleep in. Just be nice to have a clean apartment. Just be nice to work from home. Just be nice not to know real's responsibility. They said that while using my weekends, my vacation days, my gas, my groceries, my patience, and my spare bedroom. 2 years before the 5th baby announcement, I started changing. It happened slowly. I got promoted to remote finance manager at a medical supply company. I bought a small condo downtown with a south-facing balcony and a view of the courthouse clock tower. It was not fancy, but it was mine. My name on the mortgage, my keys, my couch, my locked door. The first time my mother walked in, she looked around and said, "This would be perfect for the kids if Grant and Paige ever needed space." Not congratulations. Not I'm proud of you. Space. That word told me everything. I started saying no more often. No, I could not watch 4 children overnight with 2 hours' notice. No, I could not take Nora to dance every Tuesday for 6 months. No, I would not use my vacation week to help Paige reset the house. No, I would not be listed as the school emergency contact unless I personally approved it. That last one caused a fight. Paige had tried to add me to all 4 school records without telling me. I only found out because the school called me when Caleb threw up in class and neither parent answered. When I asked Grant about it, he said, "You're their aunt. Why are you acting like a stranger?" I said, "Because emergency contact means responsibility." He said, "That's what family is." I said, "No, that's what consent is." He hung up. After that, my mother began saying I had changed. She was right. I had started to understand that being needed is not the same as being loved. So when Grant and Paige announced baby number 5, my body recognized danger before my heart had time to feel guilty. I left that dinner. And the next morning, police called from my lobby. I got dressed in the fastest 5 minutes of my life. I threw on jeans, a sweater, and shoes without socks. My coffee went cold on the counter. My phone kept buzzing with messages from my mother and Grant. But I did not open them. The drive down to the lobby felt absurd because I lived on the 9th floor. I could have taken the elevator. But my body was moving like distance mattered. Like I had to travel through shock before facing what they had done. When the elevator doors opened, I saw the children immediately. Nora sat in one of the lobby chairs with May asleep against her shoulder. Caleb stood near the vending machine, trying not to cry. Milo had his dinosaur backpack on backward and was gripping the straps with both hands. 4 overnight bags were lined up beside them. Officer Reyes stood with my building manager, Mrs. Patel, and the morning concierge. Dennis looked furious. Mrs. Patel looked like she had already decided someone was getting banned from the property. Nora saw me first. "Aunt Leah," she whispered. I went to her and knelt down. I wanted to say, "It's okay." But it was not okay. Children deserve comfort, but they also deserve not to be lied to by every adult in the room, so I said, "I'm here. You are safe right now." Caleb's lip trembled. "Dad said you wanted us." My throat tightened. "I love you," I told him. "But the adults need to tell the truth about who agreed to what." Officer Reyes stepped closer. "Ms. Bennett, we need to ask you some questions. Did you agree to take physical custody of these children this morning?" "No." "Did you agree to keep them overnight or for any extended period?" "No." "Did you sign a caregiver authorization form?" "No." Mrs. Patel handed me a plastic sleeve. Inside was the form Temporary Family Caregiver Authorization. My name was typed in bold letters. Leah Ann Bennett, relationship. Paternal aunt, Donk. Until further notice, minimum 90 days. Reason: parents preparing for high-risk pregnancy and transition to larger family. Then came the line that made my hands go cold. Caregiver has no spouse, children, or conflicting obligations, and has verbally agreed to assist as part of family duty. At the bottom was a signature. My signature. Except it was not mine. The L was wrong. The B was too sharp. Someone had copied it from a birthday card or old check, but they had not copied the way my hand actually moved. I looked at Officer Reyes. "I did not sign this." He nodded. "We suspected that might be the case." "Who brought them here?" Dennis, the concierge, answered before the officer did. "Your mother." The lobby seemed to tilt. "My mother?" "She came in at 7:18 with the children and the bags. She said you were upstairs getting ready and asked us not to call because you were working. I told her visitors could not be sent up without your approval. She left the bags by the desks and told the kids you were coming down." Mrs. Patel added, "Dennis called me because she left before anyone confirmed you were home." Officer Reyes said, "The children were alone in the lobby for 11 minutes before staff called police." 11 minutes. 4 children in a public lobby. A forged form in a suitcase. My name on a lie. I took a photo of the form. Then I took a photo of the bags. Then I asked Mrs. Patel for a copy of the lobby footage. Grant arrived before she could answer. He stormed through the glass doors wearing sweatpants, a hoodie, and the expression of a man offended by consequences. "What the hell is going on, sis?" he snapped. Nora flinched. That was the moment I stopped seeing my brother first. I saw the children, all 4 of them, watching adults decide whether their fear mattered. Paige came in behind him, one hand on her stomach, pale and angry. My mother arrived last, perfect hair, church cardigan, mouth pressed into a line of disappointment, as if I had embarrassed her by making her forgery inconvenient. Officer Reyes turned to them. "Are you the children's parents?" Grant pointed at me. "She's their aunt. This is a family issue." Officer Reyes did not blink. Leaving children in a lobby with a document the named caregiver says she did not sign is not simply a family issue. Paige looked at me. "Leah, please, don't do this here." I almost laughed. "Here," as if I had chosen the location. "You dropped your children in my building lobby. We thought you'd come around," Grant said. I said no. "You always say no first." That sentence said more than he realized. My mother stepped forward. "Leah, this has gone far enough." "No," I said. "It went far enough when you forged my signature." Her face changed, only for half a second, but Officer Reyes saw it. "Mrs. Bennett," he said, "did you prepare this form?" My mother looked at the children, then at Grant, then at me. "I filled it out because Leah has always helped." "That's not what I asked," the officer said. My mother lifted her chin. "I wrote it." She would have agreed if she wasn't being stubborn. Mrs. Patel let out a sharp breath. Grant muttered, "Mom." Paige's eyes widened. I stared at my mother. For years, she had rewritten my yeses. That morning, she finally admitted she had written one herself. Officer Reyes asked, "Who signed Leah Bennett's name?" Silence. My mother said, "This is being blown out of proportion." The officer repeated, "Who signed her name?" Nobody answered. Nora started crying quietly. That sound brought everyone back to the real victims in the room. Not my mother's embarrassment, not Grant's panic, not Paige's inconvenience, the children. Officer Reyes arranged for the kids to sit with a second officer in the lobby lounge while he took statements. I told Nora again that I loved her and that none of this was her fault. She nodded, but she did not look convinced. Children often believe adult chaos is somehow a test they failed. That is why I stayed calm, not for my family, for them. Grant kept saying this was a misunderstanding. Paige kept saying pregnancy was hard. My mother kept saying families should not involve police. I finally turned to all three of them and said, "You involved police when you used my name to abandon children." Paige gasped. Abandon? What would you call leaving 4 children in a lobby with a forged document? Grant stepped toward me. Officer Reyes shifted slightly. Grant stopped. That was the first time in my life a man in authority physically stood between my brother's anger and me. I hated that I needed it. I also needed it. The incident was documented. The children went home with their parents. After Officer Reyes confirmed they had not been physically harmed and after he warned Grant and Paige that Child Services could review the case if there were further concerns. But the form stayed with the police. The lobby footage was preserved. The concierge gave a statement. Mrs. Patel wrote a building report. And I sent one email before I went back upstairs. To Grant, Paige, my mother, and my father. I do not consent to be named, listed, assigned, implied, or represented as a caregiver, guardian, emergency contact, overnight supervisor, pickup person, or backup parent for any of Grant and Paige's children, without my prior written agreement for a specific date and time. Any future attempt to place children in my care without consent will be documented and reported. Any use of my signature without permission will be handled legally. Then I attached nothing. Not yet. Proof is stronger when people do not know how much of it you have. By noon, my phone had 43 missed calls. By 2, my family group chat had exploded. Grant wrote, Leah called the cops on her own nieces and nephews because she didn't want to help with a pregnant woman. Paige wrote, some women hate seeing other women become mothers. My mother wrote, we are heartbroken by Leah's cruelty. My father wrote nothing, which was his way of voting with the loudest person in the room. Then the relatives came, Aunt Denise. Shameful. Uncle Rob. Family helps family. Cousin Melanie. There are 4 scared kids in the middle of this. That one made me reply. Only once, yes. 4 scared kids were left in my condo lobby with a forged caregiver form after I clearly refused. Police documented the incident. I will not discuss the children publicly, but I will correct lies about my consent. Then I attached one image. Only the line from the form, caregiver has no spouse, children, or conflicting obligations. And below it, my forged signature. I blacked out the children's names. I left my mother's handwriting visible in the margin where she had written, Leah will cooperate once they're there. The group chat went silent for 13 minutes. Then Aunt Denise deleted her comment. Cousin Melanie texted me privately. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Uncle Rob left the chat. Grant texted me privately. Take that down. I replied. Stop lying. He wrote, you're destroying Mom. I replied, Mom signed my name. He did not answer. That was when I understood something that changed my life. Manipulation survives in fog. Documentation opens windows. Over the next week, my mother tried every version of herself. Victim mother, heartbroken grandmother, worried Christian woman, exhausted parent of an ungrateful daughter. She called me from blocked numbers. I did not answer. She sent emails with subject lines like, please read with an open heart and this family is breaking. I saved them unread in the folder I named Caregiver Fraud. That folder became my shield. Inside it went everything. The forged form, the lobby footage request, the police incident number, screenshots of every message, my original refusal, Grant's, you always say no first, Paige's good practice, my mother's, Leah, will cooperate once they're there. Every small piece mattered because 2 days later, my brother and Paige tried to flip the story officially. They told a social worker I had agreed to help and then abandoned the kids in the lobby after getting angry about family expectations. Officer Reyes called me personally. Ems Bennett, he said. I need to let you know your family has made statements that conflict with yours. I expected that. Do you have written proof you refused before they dropped the children off? Yes. Please send everything to the case email. I did not emotionally, not with a long explanation. Just facts, dates, screenshots. Form, incident number video request. Officer Reyes responded with one sentence. Received. This is helpful. That word felt small, but it meant the lie had met a wall. The official family meeting happened 8 days later. It was held at a county family services office, not because the children were being removed, but because the incident had created enough concern that Grant and Paige were required to establish a real childcare and emergency plan before baby number 5 arrived. I did not have to attend. I chose to, not alone. My best friend, Adam, came with me. Adam was a high school counselor and had the calm of someone who had spent years telling teenagers to breathe before making permanent decisions. He did not speak for me. He just sat beside me, steady and furious in a quiet way. Grant and Paige came late. My mother came with a folder. My father came because my mother told him to. The intake worker, Renee Carlisle, sat at the head of the table with Officer Reyes and a woman from the children's school district. Renee began by explaining that the purpose of the meeting was to clarify responsibility, reduce risk, and ensure the children had approved care arrangements. Grant jumped in immediately. This whole thing got exaggerated. Leah is their aunt. She's helped for years. Rennie looked at me. Ms. Bennett, have you provided childcare in the past? Yes, I said, occasionally, under pressure sometimes. But I never agreed to ongoing care, overnight care, emergency custody, school pickup authority, or the arrangement described in that form. My mother opened her folder. I brought photographs, she said. She spread them across the table. Me holding Nora as a baby, me at Caleb's birthday party, me feeding one of the twins cake, me at a Christmas play, me asleep on Grant's couch with Milo curled beside me. My mother pushed the photos forward as if affection were a contract. Look, she said. She loves them. Renee looked at the photos politely. Loving children does not create legal responsibility without consent. I wanted to frame that sentence. My mother's face tightened. Grant rubbed his jaw. Paige started crying. I'm overwhelmed, she said. I'm pregnant. I'm tired. We thought Leah understood. Rennie asked, did Leah say yes? Paige looked down. Grant said, she was being difficult. Officer Reyes said, did she say yes? Grant did not answer. My father finally spoke. She usually comes around. For the first time, everyone looked at him. He seemed surprised by his own honesties. Renee wrote it down. My mother shot him a look so sharp it could have cut paper. Under questioning, their stories separated. Grant said Paige thought I agreed. Paige said my mother told her it was handled. My mother said she believed I would do the right thing, once the children were physically present. My father admitted he heard me say no at the dinner. Every sentence became another nail in the box they had built for themselves. Then Officer Reyes placed the form on the table. Mrs. Bennett, did you sign Leah's name? My mother said, I wrote what needed to be written. That is not an answer. I signed because I knew she would help. Renee put her pen down. The room went completely quiet. My mother looked around as if waiting for someone to rescue her from the sound of her own words. No one did. The consequences were not dramatic, but they were real. Grant and Paige were required to submit a written child care plan with paid providers and confirmed emergency contacts, each verified separately. The school removed my name from all pickup lists unless I personally reinstated it in writing. The condo building banned my mother and Grant from entering without my direct approval. The forged form was referred for review because it included a false signature and false claims of consent. My mother had to sign a statement acknowledging she had no authority to assign me child care duties. Watching her write her name beneath that sentence did not make me happy. It made me free. When the meeting ended, Paige caught me in the hallway. For once, she was not performing. Her face was tired, bare, and scared. Did you really have to send the screenshots to everyone? She asked. I looked at her. Did you really have to say I abandoned your children? She looked down. I was scared. So were they. Her eyes filled. That was the first time she seemed to understand that the children were not props in her crisis. They asked if you didn't want them anymore, she whispered. My chest hurt. That is what your lie did. She covered her mouth. I'm sorry. I waited, she added, for saying you had no family. For saying it was practice. That apology was not perfect, but it named the wound. So I said, thank you. Grant never apologized. My father never apologized. My mother told me I had become hard. I said no. I became specific. That became the line I carried forward. Specific boundaries, specific dates, specific consent, specific no. 6 months later, baby number 5 was born. A little girl named Hazel. Grant sent me a photo with no caption. I stared at it for a long time. Tiny face, red cheeks, perfect hands, completely innocent. I wrote, she's beautiful. Congratulations. He replied, do you want to meet her? I knew what that question used to mean. Are you ready to be useful again? So I answered carefully. I would love to meet her as her aunt. I am not available for childcare. He did not reply for 2 days. Then he wrote, fine. Fine was not warmth, but it was a border. I visited on a Sunday afternoon. Adam waited at a coffee shop nearby because I still did not fully trust the room. The house was chaos, laundry everywhere, dishes in the sink, the twins fighting over a tablet, Nora helping Caleb with homework while Grant paced with the baby. Paige looked exhausted in a way that made my anger soften but not disappear. My mother was there too. For the first time in my life, she did not hand me a child. She asked. Would you like to hold Hazel? Asked. That word mattered. I said yes. Hazel was warm and impossibly small against my chest. Nora sat beside me and whispered, Mom says grown-ups have to ask now. My eyes burned. That's a good rule, I said. It feels weird, Nora said. I smiled sadly. I know. Sometimes healing begins with a rule that should have existed all along. I did not become the family nanny. I did not become cold either. I went to school plays when invited. I sent birthday gifts. I took Nora for lunch once a month because she was old enough to ask and understand plans. I babysat twice that year. Both times were scheduled in advance. Both times had start and end times. Both times Paige texted, thank you, not you owe us. That was progress. Small, imperfect, but real. The biggest change happened in the family language. People started asking, are you available? Would you be willing? Does that work for you? It was almost funny how revolutionary consent sounded in a family that had preached love for decades. 1 year after the lobby incident, I bought a bigger dining table for my condo, not for children I was expected to raise, for friends, for chosen family, for Adam, who became more than a friend slowly and carefully, without ever treating my boundaries like obstacles, for Nora when she came for lunch, for myself, because I finally stopped decorating my life like it was temporary. On the first night the table arrived, I opened the folder labeled Caregiver Fraud. I thought I would feel bitterness. Instead, I felt gratitude for the woman who had been scared and still told the truth. The woman who stood in a condo lobby beside 4 frightened children and refused to make herself the solution to an adult lie. The woman who learned that love without consent becomes a cage. I archived the folder. I did not delete it. Some lessons deserve to be kept where you can find them. Have you ever been treated like your life was less important because you were single, childless, quiet, responsible, or simply available? If you have, then you know how hard it is to stop performing the role everyone benefits from. You wonder if saying no makes you cruel. You wonder if protecting your peace means abandoning people. You wonder if love should cost this much. Let me tell you what I learned from a forged form, 4 overnight bags, and a lobby camera. Your love is not automatic consent. Your free time is not family property. Your guilt is not a contract. And children should never be used as emotional hostages to force obedience from an adult. My name is Leah Bennett. I am an aunt. I am a daughter. I am a sister. But I am not a backup parent someone can assign with a signature I did not write. My brother announced baby number 5, and my family cheered. Then they looked at me and saw labor. The next morning, the police found his children at my door with bags, a forged form, and a lie that said I had no other obligations. They were wrong. I had one very important obligation: to tell the truth. And once I did, everything changed.